When a woman takes control in the bedroom, especially with a bold and physical move like pushing a man onto the bed or straddling him without waiting for his lead, it immediately shifts the dynamic into something deeply exciting and psychologically charged. Men are often expected to initiate, lead, and maintain the tempo in bed. That's the societal script most are used to following. The pursuer, the dominant, the driver of desire. But that expectation also creates a gap, a hidden craving. What many won't say out loud is that they want to feel desired so intensely that their partner doesn't wait for permission. She just acts on instinct. When a woman flips the roles and takes over, it tells him something far beyond words, that she's not just into him, she's hungry for him. There is something deeply erotic about being seen as the object of lust, especially when it's coming from someone who's confident enough to act on it. When a woman takes control, it feeds a man's ego in the most primal way. It says, "You turn me on so much, I can't hold back." That level of raw desire breaks through performance and gets to the core of sexual chemistry. It becomes less about technique and more about intent. He's no longer the one performing to prove something. He becomes the one being wanted, taken, possessed. That flips a switch in his head, and it's one that most men don't even realize they've been waiting for someone to touch. This kind of control isn't about dominance in a rough, aggressive way. It's about a kind of sensual authority. When a woman grabs her partner by the shirt, kisses him with purpose, and pushes him onto the bed, it ignites a charge. There's a difference between simply getting on top and truly owning the moment. When it's done with confidence, not hesitation or self-consciousness, it tells a story. It says, "I know what I want, and what I want right now is you." That's magnetic. That level of certainty is rare, and when men experience it, it hits them on a deeper level than just physical arousal. It taps into their subconscious longing to be desired beyond logic, to be craved in a way that bypasses thought. For men who are often in control in other areas of life, in work, decision-making, or even social dynamics, this kind of bedroom reversal is a release. It allows them to surrender, to trust, to feel the thrill of unpredictability. When they don't have to lead, when they don't have to plan or manage the experience, they can fully feel it. That's something not enough people talk about. Great sex isn't always about intensity. Sometimes it's about the freedom to let go. When a woman takes charge with confidence and passion, she gives her partner that freedom, the chance to simply experience, to react, to be consumed by the moment. And let's not ignore the emotional impact this kind of move has. When a man sees that you're not afraid to touch him, to climb on top of him, to kiss him like you own the moment, it builds connection. He doesn't just feel turned on, he feels seen, chosen, wanted. That validation doesn't disappear once the moment ends, it lingers in his mind, makes him look at you differently, think about you more, crave more moments where he gets to be that guy, the one you just couldn't wait for. Taking control isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about unlocking a part of yourself that knows you're desirable, powerful, and worthy of being the one who sets the fire, not just waits for it. It's not about perfection or a performance, it's about presence. And when you bring that kind of presence to the bedroom, everything changes. Let's dive into the next move men secretly crave: hair grabbing and wall pressing with eye contact. This taps into a deeply primal fantasy that many men carry but rarely voice, being handled in a way that balances physicality with emotional intensity. And the key here isn't aggression, it's confidence. A woman who can grip, guide, and maintain eye contact during a rough moment is showing a boldness that's undeniably magnetic. When you run your fingers through his hair and give it a confident tug, not too hard, not too soft, just enough to signal control, it immediately sends a jolt through him. Hair pulling, when done right, is one of the most underrated tools of seduction. Why? Because it signals that you're not afraid to touch him with purpose. You're not just being reactive to his moves, you're making your own. That changes the entire atmosphere. It pulls him out of his head and into his body, makes him hyper aware of your presence, your power, and your desire. This isn't about roughness for the sake of it, it's about dominance through intentional touch. The physical sensation of a hair grab is layered with psychological undertones. It's territorial in a way, not in the toxic sense, but in the seductive one. It's saying, right now, you're mine. And men love being claimed like that, especially when it comes from a place of sexual confidence rather than insecurity or performance. Now add in the wall press. The moment when you take him by surprise, back him up and press him gently but firmly against the wall. That's when his pulse jumps. There's a thrill in the loss of control, even if it's momentary and entirely consensual. When you get close, press your body into his and keep eye contact while doing it. That's where the real magic happens, because now it's not just physical. You're communicating something with your eyes that words can't touch. You're saying, I see you, I want you, I'm not afraid of showing it. That level of directness, that ownership of the moment, is what burns itself into his memory. And the wall isn't just a prop, it's a tool. When you use your environment to corner him, guide him, control the space, it changes the rules. You're not just in bed anymore, you're in a power exchange. And the thrill of that, the tension it creates, can make even a 10-second moment feel unforgettable. Eye contact during these rougher moments is non-negotiable. It's what anchors the experience in intimacy instead of turning it into a disconnected act. When you look into his eyes while pulling his hair or pinning him against a wall, you're creating a feedback loop of trust and desire. It's confrontational in the sexiest way. You're not looking away, you're owning it. You're watching his reaction, you're controlling the tempo, and he feels it deeply. Many men, especially those used to being physically dominant or emotionally closed off, are starved for this kind of connection. They want to be touched in a way that doesn't just feel good, but feels intentional. They want to feel chosen, not just passively, but actively, like you couldn't help yourself. That kind of attention is rare. And when they get it, they don't forget it. So when you combine that hair tug, the push to the wall, and the silent message in your eyes, you're not just giving him a moment of physical pleasure. You're showing him a side of you, the confident, unfiltered, powerful you that tells him he's in for more than just a night. He's in for an experience, one that makes him crave you not just for how you make him feel, but for how you make him surrender. Let's move into something even more primal, the use of bites, scratches, and marks. This taps directly into the physical language of lust, where touch isn't just soft and sensual. It's intense, raw, and leaves a memory. Men aren't just turned on by what they feel in the moment. They're deeply aroused by what they carry away from it. And that's exactly what this move does. It leaves behind a physical reminder that says, this happened, you were wanted. Now let's be clear, this isn't about pain. It's about impact. The moment your nails dig into his back or your teeth press into his shoulder during a heated moment, it tells a story of abandon, of craving. It says you weren't trying to hold back, you were trying to hold on. That's a massive psychological turn on for a man, because in that moment you stop being polite and start being real. And that realness, that raw, uninhibited reaction is what makes him feel irresistible. When you scratch a man's back as he's on top of you, especially if it's a spontaneous response, not a planned move, he feels it like a surge of validation. It's confirmation that he's driving you wild, that your body is reacting involuntarily to him. And that hits on one of his deepest desires, to be so good, so powerful in that moment that you physically can't contain your response. And when he sees those marks later, faint lines across his skin, a bite just visible near his collarbone, it becomes a souvenir of that connection, not a wound, but a memory. And yes, part of the appeal here is deeply psychological. We're wired to respond to signs of intensity. Leaving a scratch or a bite is a little rebellious, a little animalistic. It breaks the rules of proper sex and leans into something more honest. It shows that you've let go of control, that you weren't focused on looking pretty or staying composed. You were lost in the moment. That's intoxicating to a man, because it tells him he unlocked that side of you. He didn't just have sex with you, he awakened you. There's also something incredibly erotic about the idea of being marked. For many men, the thought that you were so into them that you wanted to leave a trace, even subconsciously, is a massive ego stroke. And not just in a shallow way. It speaks to their craving to be memorable, to be more than just another experience. It says, you'll think about this, you'll see this later, and remember how it felt. And here's the thing, these marks don't have to be dramatic. Sometimes the sexiest ones are the subtlest. A few red lines barely visible under a t-shirt, a tiny bite on the inside of his bicep, something he knows is there, even if no one else can see it. That secret mark becomes a private thrill, a reminder he carries throughout the day and likely brags about to himself in the mirror. He doesn't need to show it off. Just knowing it came from you, from a moment that neither of you held back, is enough. Scratching, biting, leaving your mark. These are acts of passion, not aggression. They say you weren't just there, you were in it. And the man who gets that from you, he's not walking away just feeling satisfied. He's walking away feeling branded. And that kind of sex, the kind that leaves a trace, lives longer in a man's mind than anything you could whisper. Let's now move into one of the most underestimated yet wildly effective turn-ons for men, dirty talk with edge. We're not talking about reading a script or throwing around vulgarity for shock value. This is about verbal confidence that strikes at the heart of male desire, the need to feel wanted, teased, challenged, and ultimately claimed. Here's the secret most people overlook. Men don't just crave physical touch, they crave psychological stimulation. And nothing slips into a man's mind and stays there like the right words, said at the right moment, in the right tone. A bold whisper in his ear, an unexpected command, a sultry tease. These things bypass his logic and go straight to that primal part of him that wants to feel like the object of your lust. Not your affection, not your politeness, your lust. What makes dirty talk so powerful isn't the words themselves, it's what they represent. They tell him that you're uninhibited, that you're present, that you're feeling something so strong you can't keep quiet. Even something as simple as "don't stop" or "right there," just like that, said with breathless urgency, turns a sexual moment into an emotionally charged one. Because it's no longer about performance, now it's about real-time feedback. He's not guessing. If you're enjoying yourself, you're telling him. And that's insanely arousing. But it can go even deeper than that. A sudden switch in tone, from soft moans to a firm command like "stay still" or "let me finish with you," hits a man on two levels, physically and psychologically. Now, he's not just in a sensual moment, he's in your grip. You're not just responding, you're directing. And that control, that sharp edge, is what turns routine into unforgettable. Because very few women own their voice like that. When you do, you instantly stand out. And here's something most women don't realize. Men love surprise, especially the kind that hints at a deeper, darker desire. The woman who seems sweet and composed in public but turns up the volume in private with a filthy whisper or a bold statement, that contrast is devastatingly sexy. Why? Because it says there's a whole side of you that only he gets access to. He feels chosen, initiated, like he's unlocked a secret part of you, and that sense of exclusivity is its own aphrodisiac. Dirty talk doesn't have to be constant. In fact, less is often more, especially when it's intentional. A pause in the middle of foreplay to whisper, "You've been driving me crazy all day," can do more than a full paragraph of rehearsed lines. It's all about timing. Men are wired to respond to intensity, and when your voice reflects your excitement, even just a growl, a gasp, or a rough whisper, it lights something up in them. You're showing that you're not just going through the motions. You're in it, you're with him, in the fire of the moment. Also, don't underestimate the power of ownership in your language. When you say things like, "I want to feel you lose control," or "you belong to me tonight," it strikes at something deeply vulnerable and attractive in a man. You're not just enjoying him, you're claiming him. That verbal dominance, paired with physical connection, creates an experience he won't stop thinking about anytime soon. Ultimately, dirty talk isn't about being someone you're not. It's about unleashing the parts of you that are already there. The part that wants to express desire, not mute it. And when you let that side out with intention, clarity, and fire, you become the voice that echoes in his mind long after the night ends. Let's now step into something deeply psychological, a move that mixes power, vulnerability, and erotic tension in a way most men won't admit they crave but never forget once they experience it. The silent stare down during sex. No words, no distractions, just raw, unbroken eye contact that tells him exactly where he stands and what's about to happen. This isn't a game, it's not a tactic, it's a presence. A woman who can hold eye contact during the most intimate, heated moments is saying something most never have the courage to say out loud. I see you, I'm here, and I'm not looking away. That moment, when you lock eyes and don't flinch, don't giggle, don't break the tension, is when everything changes. It flips the switch from sex to something deeper, more consuming. It pulls him into a space where there's no hiding, no pretending, just you, just him, just the fire between you. Now, most people avoid eye contact during sex because it's too exposing, but that's exactly why it's so powerful. When a man is looking into your eyes while he's inside you, and you're not just letting it happen, but holding him there with your gaze, it throws him off in the best way. It pulls him out of performance mode. It takes him from doing sex to feeling it. He's not just in your body, he's in your energy, your attention, your desire. And that's where things get unforgettable. Because here's what most don't understand. Men aren't just craving physical pleasure, they're craving emotional recognition, to feel seen, not in a soft, romantic, candlelit kind of way, but in a real, unfiltered, primal way. And when you stare him down mid-thrust or hold his face and look into his eyes as you ride him, you're saying, you're mine right now. This is real. That dominance, even in silence, is deafening, and it's hot as hell. There's also something about the stillness of that moment. When you stop moving just for a second, hover over him and stare deep into his eyes, that makes everything around you fade. It becomes electric. You create a bubble of intensity where nothing else exists. And for the man beneath you, that's not just arousing, it's disarming. Because now he has to feel not just the pleasure, not just the rhythm, but you, your weight, your gaze, your claim, and he'll feel it in a way he wasn't prepared for. This kind of move doesn't rely on performance. It relies on emotional bravery. You have to own your presence. That stare isn't about testing him or seeking approval. It's about showing him that you're not afraid to hold space, that you're not afraid of closeness, that you're not just giving your body, you're offering your attention. And that makes him surrender. And here's the unexpected twist, that eye contact doesn't always feel sexy in the traditional sense. Sometimes it feels intense, almost confrontational, but that's exactly what makes it so intimate. You're showing up without armor, no filters, no cute angles, just fire, just rawness, just you. And men, even if they never say it, are starving for that kind of intimacy. That level of bold presence that cuts through all the noise and says, this is happening right here, right now, and I'm not backing down. So whether it's in the middle of slow, passionate sex or a rough, fast-paced rhythm, that stare, that bold connection becomes the thing he remembers, because it didn't just feel good. It made him feel seen, chosen, and completely devoured, without a single word spoken. Now let's talk about the final move, and it's one that's less about speed or force and more about controlling the pace and making him beg. This one isn't loud, it's not chaotic, but it's lethal, because when you slow things way down, when you deliberately take your time, tease him, deny him release, and make him work for every inch of pleasure, you tap into a desire that most men keep buried, the need to lose control under someone else's command. Most people think rough sex is all about pounding intensity, but the most powerful domination, it often lives in the restraint. When you straddle a man, grind on him slowly, whisper that he's not allowed to finish yet, or pause the rhythm just as he's building, you're not just playing with his body, you're playing with his mind. That's where the real power is, because now he's not just feeling turned on, he's feeling owned by your tempo, your decisions, your rules. Imagine this. He's already worked up. You're on top. He's aching for release, and instead of giving it to him, you hold still, grinding just enough to keep him at the edge, but not enough to let him finish. You lean down, your mouth close to his ear, and you whisper, "Not yet. I'm not done with you. You just turned sex into mental warfare," and he's losing. Beautifully. This kind of control doesn't come from aggression, it comes from certainty. You're not rushing, you're not worried about keeping up. You're in complete command of your body, your pleasure, and his. And when you show that you can slow down, that you don't need to rush to the finish, it rewires the experience. Suddenly, you're not the receiver, you're the orchestrator. You're deciding when, how, and if he gets what he wants. Men rarely get to experience that kind of surrender. In most of life, they're the ones leading, chasing, performing. But when you take over the pace, when you tease, stop, grind, whisper, edge him to the point of madness, you give him something most never feel: the freedom to let go, to stop thinking, to simply feel. And that makes the experience unforgettable. But here's what really elevates this move: your presence. You have to be there with him, watching him, feeling every twitch, every breath, every frustrated groan as he tries to hold back. You become the mirror to his desire. And you don't flinch. You enjoy the power, you draw it out, you savor it. Because the truth is, the woman who isn't afraid to make him wait is the one he won't stop thinking about afterward. Because the one he won't stop thinking about afterward. And when you finally do let him finish, it's not just release, it's relief. It's the exhale after being trapped in your control, and he'll never forget who put him there. That one climax, after minutes of teasing, slowing down, and controlling the tempo, will feel 10 times more powerful than if it had come quickly. Because now, it's not just physical, it's earned. And he'll remember how you made him need it, not just want it. This move is the silent, slow burn of dominance, and it's deadly in the best way. It proves that the most powerful person in the bedroom isn't the one moving the fastest. It's the one who knows exactly when to stop.